everybody. Today I want to do something new and review two movies at the same time. Basically, which one is the better one? I've got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, directed by Tobe Hooper, the late great Tobe Hooper, and rest in peace. And then, of course, the remake from 2003, directed by Marcus Nispel. Don't know what he did after that, but he did a great job, and he started that remake boom that Dawn of the Dead came out, My Bloody Valentine, House of Wax. But you also had to you got some good remakes that did their own thing, but you got remakes that just like Prom Night. We'll never watch that one. It's you got horrible remakes too. But you got good ones, and the remake launched that boom of making good and bad, some bad remakes. Now, Tobe Hooper, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is revered to be one of the greatest horror movies by a lot of high prolific directors. Quentin Tarantino, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg. A lot of people love his movie, the way he shot things, the way he did with such a small budget, using the soundtrack, the eerie soundtrack, the opening where you see a grave yard, and you see this people basically stapled to each other like statue, really eerie and disturbing. And you see how warm it is, so you can see the pavement with a dead armadillo, and you see the blurriness of the heat on the ground. You see that, when you see in the distance on the roof of a car. It's rural Texas. Now this group of people are going there because Sally, played by Marilyn Burns, and her brother Franklin, who's in a wheelchair, inherited a house. So they go on a road trip. They take Jerry with them. That's and Kirk and Pam, a couple. Now, Franklin is the guy it's an annoying person. At the same time, you care for him because when he wants to take a piss, a truck that just torches by, he falls and pissing all over himself, and he's always complaining this and that. He's not a simple-minded person, but he's just a needy person, and asking question after question after question after question. And they're all warm, they're sweaty armpits, their clothes, you can basically just squeeze their clothes out and you get sweat. It's so warm. Airco wasn't a thing back then. Now they see this hitchhiker. A few say, let's pick him up. And then Franklin, are you sure we should do that? I don't think we should do that, Sally. I don't think we should do that. Eventually they do that. This guy has this weird birthmark all over his, around his eye, a big patch. He looks fucked up, and he's sitting there like, and then I remember that you guys like meat. My granddaddy worked in a slaughterhouse. You know how to kill them? and then Franklin completely Franklin is because he's attracted to the morbid somehow. He said, how? They whacked him with a hammer. Usually it took a few times, but my granddaddy, one time. Nowadays they use it electroshock shit. Here, I got some pictures I can show you. And Franklin is looking at those pictures of all those dead cows and the way they morbid pictures basically of animal cruelty. And then he starts, I take a picture from you. And Franklin goes, okay, click. You get one of those fast and making pictures, that roll out. You swivel about and you've got the picture. Here you go. It's only $5. Franklin says, no way. I don't gonna pay $5 for that, a blurry picture. Oh, no. And then he starts to annoy people, and they're saying, maybe you should get out. And then he takes the picture, puts it in a wrapping foil, then puts something on it, puts it on fire, takes a knife, takes Franklin's arm and cuts his arm to bleed on it, and then he cuts his own hand too, and then he's pushed out the car, and then he's like, going behind the car, and then smearing the car with his blood and shit like that. And okay, that was already really unsettling to me. That whole thing with the hitchhiker, that was super unsettling. I get goosebumps thinking about that. That guy was completely off his meds. He was fucked up beyond all recognition, and they picked him up. I mean, god damn, he was the one he was the one who came back from the graveyard with human parts and made those models, out of human parts. Eventually they end up at this gas station, asking for where the road is, and this gas attendee is like, it's simple kind of, but he's sweet. He says, I filled her up now. And then when they're selling like meat behind the counter, but it stinks. It's like a complete hog, completely gutted and things like that, and pork meat boiled. But you have to think it's like fucking 40. It's like 70, 80 degrees outside or something or more. He's saying, no, you shouldn't go to that house. You should go back. You should just go back and have fun. Not go to that house. There's nothing there to see. So he was warning them, but of course they inherited that house. That was their grandparents' house or something. So they go to the house. Eventually they get out. Nobody helps Franklin, and Franklin is pushing himself in the house. The house has no furniture. It's a decrepit house, and it's like, nobody helps Franklin, huh? Now this is for you guys. I mean, Franklin was funny, annoying, and sometimes you had a little sympathy for him, but at the end, he died as an annoying person, actually. What happens is, Pam and Kirk heard that there was a little creek bed with water. They want to take a dip. Creek bed's gone, drought, just sand. They see a house, a generator. They go to that house, and the door is open. Now, Pam doesn't want to go in. She stays on this porch swing thing, you know, this swing porch, and catches some sun. She says, "I'm gonna stay here in the sun." So Kurt goes in, and then you see the metal door opening up, Leatherface making that pig-like sound, hitting him with the hammer and hitting him again, and then you see the body twitching and see the blood on his chest. You don't see his head, you just see it twitching like that, and he takes it. That's what Toby Hooper did with this movie. He didn't show the explicit gore, but the violence that those bodies were shaking, and at some point he takes Pam and he takes her up, puts her on a hook, you know, a meat hook, and she in pain, and in the meantime her boyfriend's on the slab, and he's being cut to pieces by a chainsaw. You have to imagine the pain and the disturbed images they go through. That rattling of, he was rattling like, you know, the nerves that are still, you know, intact, and the second hit he quit, you know. It was obviously he needed a second hit to die. That's just fucked up. After that, Jerry goes to take a look, and he finds the kitchen where the slab was, where Kirk was. Then he opens the freezer, and then we see Pam like this, like a robot. She's apparently still alive, but she's pale as fuck because she's frozen, but she's still alive. And then we see Leatherface coming out with a hammer again. You see him hitting him from the front. The guy just goes down, blood spatter on his shirt. This one only took one whack, and he puts the girl back in the freezer and closes it up, and he closes it up again. So it's you know, it's the house is full of bones, chickens. Apparently the house had a stench so hard because of the heat. The chickens, they shitted all over the place. The bones had pieces of animal bones, had pieces of flesh, rotting flesh on them. The stench was so extreme that people got out of the house and puked. They had to put Vaseline on, and even that didn't work. Now we're only left with Sally and Franklin. Now Sally wants to take a look. Franklin, stay here. No, I want to go with you. No, come on, stay here. I can't carry you that far. No, come on. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. Now, she's carrying him, but she has to go through veins and bumps from the sand and a ditch. She's millimeter per millimeter. She's pressing him. Now he's constantly saying, "You're doing a good job, Sally. Just don't stop." And she's, "No, Franklin's not gonna work." And he irritated me at that point. He should have stayed at the fucking house. Maybe he even lived if he stayed there. And of course, we know, because after Leatherface kills Jerry, who's played by Gunnar Hansen, and is said to be the best Leatherface. I think he's also in the second movie. He watches out of the window because he doesn't understand where all these people are coming from. Their house is in the sticks. So apparently he probably went on a walk, took his favorite weapon, the chainsaw, of course, with him. Here you go. Wait a second. He took his favorite, you know, that's the poster of the original movie. Cool tagline: "Who will survive and what will be left of them?" That was, you see here, his trusted weapon, the chainsaw. I mean, you know, Franklin's gonna die. Either he's gonna die. What is he gonna, what the hell is he gonna do? Sally can't do anything. Leatherface shows up out of the dark and starts to slash the Franklin, and you see Franklin like and you see the blood squirting, and it's disturbing looking. You don't need to see the dismemberment of the body parts, just the arms like this and the blood squirting. It's enough to have. That's what Toby Hooper wanted. Here, movement of limbs, and then here, visualizing it. That's what Toby Hooper wanted in this movie. He didn't want to have the super explicit gore. He wanted to visualize things by just people screaming and doing gestures with gestures with their arms. I mean, it's a cool thought, and it was effective. And but then you get a scene that I did not like, that took forever. So Sally runs away as the sole survivor. Leatherface chases her multiple. So they circle multiple times. She doesn't go to her car. She just circles, goes to the Sawyer house. Then she gets in, gets out again. She then again gets out, goes to the Sawyer house, locks the door this time, goes to the attic where this creepy dude looks like a dead person, but it's apparently a live person. Grandpa, he's the one who killed the animals with the hammer, what the hitchhiker said. And she's like, oh fuck. She sees Leatherface is coming through the door. He broke it down with his chainsaw. She jumps out of the window, hurt. She's like, you know, limping, and eventually she limps to the convenience store and gas station. The cook. You have the cook. We call him the cook. Now, he's like, okay, I have only one landline, but I don't have a no, he said, I don't have a landline, but I do have a car. I can bring you to the sheriff's office if you want. And yes, please. She's all finally relaxed. And then we get that twist that he's there with the car and he's standing in front of her with a rope. And then he he tries to, you know, bind her and and put a sack on her, and then takes a broom and stop it. And then he puts her in her car, and then he said, if you can just listen to me. Then he's doing like always patting her with the broom. He's completely lost his mind. But that guy was the only guy who was a little bit, you know, sensible in the head. Then we get, of course, the table scene with the hitchhiker, the cook. Apparently, Leatherface is called Bubba. And then, you know, you get the scene where they're tormenting the girl. Then you've got the scene where Grandpa's on the table, and the cook doesn't want anything to do with this, but he still keeps looking. He's like, it's almost like he doesn't want anything to do with it, but he's still, you know, like, and she gets, okay, Grandpa, come on, Grandpa, do what you always did, and whack her, but he's like an old, feeble person, because at some point they cut her finger, and you hear him sucking the blood out of her finger, so you know he's still alive, and then he hits her but not hard enough. Then again she's bleeding. Then the hitchhiker wants to take over, but then she she pulls free, runs away. The hitchhiker is behind her with a razor blade, slashing in her back. Uh, Leatherface behind with the chainsaw, and eventually, okay, the hitchhiker gets hit by a truck. Then she jumps on a pickup truck, and the laugh that she does, and Leatherface is angry, and it's just that scene where he's just doing like this, his chainsaw all the way twirling around because he let that girl go. He was super angry for the fact that he let her go, and the the actress Marilyn Burns said she was that wasn't acting. She was so happy the movie was done. The stench, the the torture. Toby Hooper made sure she was afraid and that she was disturbed. She was happy that the movie was done. The laughing was the laugh of a crazy person, but also the laugh of somebody who was relieved that the movie was done for a super small budget, and a movie made a lot of money. And what I always had with this movie is I feel dirty after watching this movie. I gotta take a shower. Then of course we get to the remake. Same deal. Couple of friends in a Volkswagen, you know, minibus, but they go to a festival in Mexico. Now they also pick somebody up, a girl with blood on her privates. She takes out a gun, blows her brains out in the car. Everybody shocked like that. So they call the sheriff, and here we get the introduction of R. Lee Ermey, from Full Metal Jacket, my favorite drill sergeant. He's exactly the same like that in this movie, a little bit tamed down, but you have to understand, before the sheriff arrives, uh, Kemper, the boyfriend, so our main star in this movie is Jessica Biel, played by Erin. She's called Erin. And R. Lee Ermey, Sheriff Hoyt. And the guy who plays Leatherface is Andrew Jesus Bruyashi. He did a good job. He actually did a good job. Then we've got Morgan, Pepper, Kemper, and Andy. Now, Kemper, the boyfriend, and Andy, they go to the house. Now, I remember that the boyfriend, Kemper, dies the same way like Kirk does in the first one. Gets hit by a hammer, by Leatherface, also twitching about. See a little bit more of the wound. And Andy is also caught, and he is basically, he chainsaws his leg off, hangs him up, and later on we see what happens with him. Now, the first movie started off with what you are about to see is one of the most horrid crimes in American history. Be advised. So they try to make it to look like a real story. In this one, they do it more. They do it more in your face, like police are filming black and white, local police, and because it also plays in the 70s, and they go to the cellar. We're now entering the cellar, and then out of nowhere, Leatherface attacks, and the camera falls down. So it's like a found footage moment. So both movies want to make out that it's a real story, and it's kind of based on a real story by a serial killer called uh, Edgar Bean. Bean was his name, I think. Edgar Bean. He was a guy who apparently also killed people, dug up people, made furniture out of the skeletons, but also killed people and skinned them for their skin and things like that. Um, Edgar Bean or something. I'm not sure, but he was a real serial killer. So okay, so Kemper is dead. Andy's dick, if is we don't know. He lost his leg. That's one part of his leg. And then the sheriff arrives, and this is the greatest moment. He's like uh, taking wrapping foil and wrapping the body up, and he says to Morgan, the glasses guy, he gets the biggest. Pepper and Aaron are staring at how he's acting. Is it normal? The sheriff is acting, and you see him like, uh, "Help me, motherfucker! Are you gonna stare at me, or gonna help me wrap this bitch up?" And then, you touched her cooch, right? No, sir. The gun came from there. Gun came from there. Like this gun? Uh, yeah. And then open your fucking mouth so I can see what happened, right? And he's like, oh, okay. And he just puts it in his mouth. Open it, little Daisy. And then, okay. Okay, because it seems like you guys shot her. So I think we've got a murder on our hands. And he takes, Andy with him. He puts him in his SWAT car. He leaves the two girls behind. And eventually he calls on his cell phone, on his radio. Send Bubba, I guess, also Bubba, or send Leatherface and deal with those two bitches. Then, of course, Leatherface comes, and you see Pepper being slashed to bits, but you don't see a lot. You only see the feathers of her coat, but she's being slashed. And then you see Kemper's face. So, like I said, Leatherface uses multiple he skins the faces and puts them on him. And you see Kemper, the boyfriend of Erin's face. Erin is standing there in awe. She's running away, going to the fucking house. And eventually she enters the Sawyer house. The Sawyer house. And Andy is also put... Andy, in the meanwhile, when she's running to that house, he gets pistol whipped in the mouth, and because he wanted to bribe him, and all his teeth fall out. He's getting and taken out, and you never bribe a cop, and that's a federal offense, asshole. Come on, and then like this, and he takes him, he gets punishment, he gets roped up. So Erin enters the house too. I don't remember what happens to Hoyt. I do remember what happens in that awful prequel, the beginning, when he's not a sheriff yet, and he kills the sheriff and then takes his identity. He because when he hits Morgan, he shows how now you're like me. He takes out his teeth and puts them back in, because in the prequel of this one, he gets knocked the fuck out. All his teeth is spits out, all his teeth gets knocked out, and that's how he got those fake teeth. Now she finds Andy playing he's hanging over a guitar, hanging over a piano, and he's playing the tunes with one foot, and he sees Aaron and he asks him to kill me, because Leatherface just poured salt on the wounds, which made it extremely painful. She kills him out of pity. Then eventually she finds, so Leatherface, she gets out, Leatherface goes after her. Andy is in this closet with no glasses. He tries to help her, but Leatherface picks him up and puts him on, was it a hook or something? But then he saws him in half, and you don't see the sawing in half part. You see him like blood coming out of his mouth and things like that. She's getting chased through a cattle house, a slaughterhouse, and eventually she escapes, leaving a very angry Leatherface. Now, which movie is better? Okay. Obviously, if you're gonna go for gore, the remake is better. Okay? Gore and the original, like I said, was more a visual thing, and with moving of arms and legs and limbs, but I actually prefer that for the gore in the remake, because how these people, those non-actors, used their limbs, that was so creepy, and visualizing the wounds, I could visualize it. So that's a +1 for that's a positive for the 74 one. A positive for the 2003 one is I liked Aaron's character better than Sally's character. Sally was, the characters in the original one felt more fleshed out, had more of sympathy for these characters than the ones from the original ones. Franklin, Sally, no one, I really cared for no one, actually. And I cared for Aaron, but I also cared for the other people too. Like the guy on the piano, he suffered a lot. Pepper also dies. I think she dies in the same way. She gets hooked on, she's the only one, I don't remember how she dies. I think she also gets hooked on one of those hooks. But the characters are better. They're interesting, more fleshed out. You sympathize with them, especially because of Sheriff Hoyt, who you don't have in the original one, which is it was a really good idea to put, instead of the cook and the hitchhiker, we have an old man in a wheelchair and the sheriff. And the sheriff is just great. He's just great. Arlie Ermy is a great actor. He can be super disturbing. It's just a treat to see what he does. And the guy with the glasses, he gets it. It's like the guy with the glasses in the Evil Dead remake. He gets it. Here, I think it's something to do with glasses. People with glasses, they get it. He gets, mentally terrorized. He gets his teeth knocked out. He gets, he gets fucked over. I mean, yeah, that's those people. So +1 for 2003. I also like the beginning of 2003, the found footage stuff, and then in the end, that they see, because the found footage stuff, they don't get attacked, they go to the cellar, but at the end of the movie they go to the cellar, deeper in the cellar, and Leatherface is still there, kills those cops, and then you hear a voice. The police didn't do a thorough job in searching the house. Apparently, one of the Sawyer members was still alive. So that was cool. I like that. So again, so 2 points. Um, the second one, although the cook was kind of disturbing, but the hitchhiker was really disturbing, more disturbing than Leatherface in my opinion, and the cook. He was like, I mean, he was the most disturbed one in my opinion of them all. Leatherface was like a childlike person who just took orders, and the cook was, he was a psychopath, but he was like constantly fighting with himself for not seeing a thing, and just cook the body and not seeing how the person gets killed, but then again he wants to see it. The Hitcher was really creepy, and they did a good job making him creepy, so that's a plus point. Two for two. Like I said, the characters are so let's just, first one, the characters are not good. They're not, some are annoying, they're not fleshed out enough. um, the visual the visual kills, not the explicit kills, are better in my opinion, because of the movement and the way the faces and the way their arms and like that. And when Franklin gets it, it's creepier. Visualizing, I like my gore, but it's the way they did it that was really creepy. um, so that's a positive. The Hitchhiker was a positive for me. He was super creepy. He was the most unhinged one, but the characters were flawed, and it took a fucking long time before, like a 5-10 minute scene when Sally is being chased by Leatherface, and that took too long. And the pace of the remake was better. That found footage intro and end was better. I cared more about the characters. The gore, yeah, saw it, been there. I mean, I've been there, did it. I mean, I've seen it. It's not something I didn't see before, and so character ending, characters ending, and Sheriff Hoyt. I mean, Sheriff Hoyt is like the Hitchhiker, but times two. So I'm thinking I'm gonna give this a 3 points for the 2003 version, and 2 plus points for the 1974 version. The 2003 version was, the characters more fleshed out. You got Sheriff Hoyt, great character, great villain. You had that cool opening with the found footage thing, and at the end, um, and it's Ed Gein, sorry, the killer where the movie was based on was Ed Gein. That was the guy's name. But he didn't kill so many people. And then, okay, in the first one you have the the kills that you visualize were creepy. The Hitchhiker was creepy. The last scene was really disturbing on the table, and but the characters were really flawed. The chase took too long. Um, the acting wasn't super good. Like I said, it gets the 2003 movie is better. It's better. It's a better movie. Uh, I'm not saying I hate the 74 version. It's a classic. It'll always be a classic. A lot of prolific directors love it. But the guy who did the remake did a great job by adding new characters, better known actors, better fleshed out characters. I don't care about the gore. I did like the visual kills that you have to visualize it. In the first one, Toby Hooper's, putting the cinematography, putting camera angles there. I mean, yeah, but it's just the remake was a tiny bit better, so I'm going for the remake. Now, if somebody thinks that the first one is better, put it in the comment section. Um, because it's also a good movie. It just loses what, let's say by 1 or 2 points. So that's my opinion. Let me know yours maybe, and see you next time. Adios.